Breaking news out of Egypt. The vice president of Egypt, Omar Suleiman, has just announced that President Hosni Mubarak has decided to step down, that the army is right now assigned to take over. You are seeing a live picture of Tahrir Square in Cairo, and you can see the crowds there, electric, going wild. Egyptian national flags waving in the air. There are hundreds of thousands of people throughout Egypt that had been protesting today, tens of thousands right there in Tahrir Square. And again, we have just learned that the Vice President Omar Suleiman on Egyptian state TV has announced that President Hosni Mubarak has stepped down. Now, earlier we had learned that the president was no longer in Cairo, that he and his family had flown to Sharm el-Sheikh, which is a resort town where they have a home. That is a symbolic gesture that powers had already been transferred to the vice president, and now we are learning that he has indeed stepped down. I have the full statement here that I will read from Vice President Suleiman saying, "My fellow citizens, in this difficult time the country is going through, the president, Mohammed Hosni Mubarak, has decided to relieve himself of his position as president, and the Supreme Military Council has taken control of the state's affairs. May God protect us." In Tahrir Square, the crowds are chanting, Tahrir, Egypt is free. For 3 weeks now, going on 3 weeks, thousands and thousands of Egyptian citizens have been calling for the ouster of Hosni Mubarak, who has ruled that country for 3 decades. He is 82 years old. Under him, a state of emergency law had been in place. The next question is when that emergency law will be lifted. It is not clear right now exactly who is in charge constitutionally. The vice president of Egypt would take over, but the protesters' demands and indications have been that it is really the army that will be calling the shots in this transition of power. Now, you'll remember last night's dramatic events. Everyone had expected, including President Obama here in the U.S., that the president of Egypt would resign. Instead, he was defiant on national television, essentially saying that although he would pass many powers to the vice president, he would stay in office. The response to that throughout Egypt today has been anger. And we saw thousands of people reportedly amassing in Alexandria. There were people amassing in front of the presidential palace, in front of the state television broadcaster, which is considered a mouthpiece of the regime. And now this dramatic turn of events, Vice President Suleiman saying that Hosni Mubarak is stepping down. We are seeing history unfold in the Middle East. It looks like right now we are looking at live picture from Egyptian state television of the vice president. And I'm not this is actually tape, it looks like, of that announcement moments ago where he said that the president would be stepping down. I'm now seeing reporting that the army is in charge, that the army is running the country. Now, we should say that the army is well respected among the population in Egypt, and that all along they have not really taken sides, although today we heard some extraordinary reporting from ABC reporters on the field that the army seemed to be in solidarity with the citizens. We heard Artarian Moran, who was outside the presidential palace, reporting that a soldier in a tank, for example, started waving an Egyptian flag. That soldiers on the ground were cheering and joking and laughing with protesters on the other side of Concertina wire. So it does seem as though the army is in solidarity with the people. And you'll also recall the scene yesterday we reported of the Army Chief of Staff entering Tahrir Square and saying that tonight your demands will be met. It started the entire chain of rumors that Mubarak would be stepping down. So it does seem that we are witnessing history unfold in this part of the world. You see the live picture of Tahrir Square there. Tens of thousands of Egyptian citizens that had gotten out of Friday prayers, waving national flags, cheering. It seems that they do and can claim victory now. We're going to listen in now on Nile TV.
They have promised to the letter completely, and things when calms down, of course the emergency law will be cancelled, and all the what the demonstrators have asked for and claimed will be fulfilled. And now I'm optimistic that Egypt will be even much stronger in the near future.
So, Mr. Ambassador, in your view, the priorities right now, security and stability, rebuilding the economy, punishing those who are responsible for killing protesters and causing the security gap and putting 80 million lives at risk, or getting back the money from those whom the Prosecutor General has started to move against and investigate against, because this is huge money that could definitely help a large portion of the Egyptian people and get many to the job market and millions to the job market. What are the priorities, Mr. Ambassador?
I would say that all what you have said, all together are priorities, because they should go parallel, all of them in the same way. I mean, investigating those who have accumulated tremendous amounts of money and see if this accumulation of money was done legally or not. And this, of course, will put things in order. So Egyptian people, they recover the right, and there will be social justice. And at the same time, the constitutional amendment will guarantee, of course, the coming elections of the new president, etc. All what you have said is valid, and I'm sure with the national conscience of the our military will start immediately, I'm sure immediately, to fulfill all what you have said, and what you have said is exactly what we all are asking for.
Mr. Ambassador, one final word you would like to say on the bittersweet experience Egypt has been living through since January 25th.
Well, the experience, although it was bitter in some of its sides when the country was nearly paralyzed, but each thing has its price, and the price has been fulfilled now. We are looking forward to a new era of Egypt, strong, democratic, with social equality, all these objectives and goals you have talked about, and our brothers and sons.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Ambassador Wahib Al-Minyawi, former assistant to the foreign minister, for being with
You
us.
are watching breaking news. The president of Egypt, Hosni Mubarak, is resigning, according to the vice president of the country, Suleiman, who announced moments ago on Egyptian state TV that in these difficult circumstances the country is passing through, President Hosni Mubarak has decided to leave the position of the presidency. You are watching the crowds go wild in the center of Cairo, in Tahrir Square, where for the last 18 days we have watched protesters amass there, calling for just this, for a new day in Egypt. And you are seeing that they are celebrating, that this is victory for them. Yesterday they had expected that the president would step down, and in what were considered anticlimactic remarks, the president basically said he would remain in office until September, although delegate many of his powers to the vice president. It seems at this hour that the army, that the Egyptian military is in charge, that they will be in charge of a presumably peaceful transition of power, although it is not clear who the new leaders of this new Egypt will be. We have been hearing all day that the military has seemed to be standing in solidarity with the protesters. We had been hearing from reports from our ABC reporters in the field in front of the presidential palace that soldiers in the crowds were joking and laughing together. At one point, soldiers even throwing cookies and biscuits at the protesters. Another soldier in an Egyptian tank waving a national flag. So it had seemed to be heading in the direction of victory for the protesters all day. Today, Friday, in Egypt is the weekend. There were tens of thousands of people already amassed in Tahrir Square, many of them angry and frustrated about Mubarak's announcement yesterday that he would not step down. And now, it's astonishing turn of events in Egypt with the vice president announcing that Mubarak is going to step down. Now, we do understand from our sources and reporting at ABC News that Mr. Mubarak is not in Cairo, that he is not in the presidential palace. That perhaps was the first indication this morning that he could be stepping down. He is believed to be in the resort town of Sharm el-Sheikh, and we are starting to get reaction. Mr. al-Baradei, who the former head of the International Atomic Energy Agency and Nobel Peace Prize winner, his reaction, quote, "This is the greatest day of my life. The country has been liberated."